Do you think Kyoto was the oldest city in Japan? Wrong. This place used to be much bigger before Kyoto was even a thing. Hello guys, as you saw in the title, I went to the least known place in Japan called Shimane Prefecture, specifically Izumo. It was the least visited prefecture for international travelers in 2023. As a matter of fact, I have never seen this least amount of foreign travelers, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't recommend going there for those who are traveling Japan for the first time, but if you're well traveled in Japan, I would recommend coming here to experience the very traditional and untouched side of Japan without experiencing any tourist traps. Shimane Prefecture is located almost 800 kilometers west of Tokyo, 454 kilometers from Korea. You can fly for 1.5 hours from Tokyo or an hour from Osaka. It was more expensive to fly there from Tokyo than to Korea because the flights to remote area like this place have very limited flights. There were actually many Japanese tourists though, but why would they come to this remote area? Well, this is because this place was where the islands of Japan were created by the god, so-called kami, called Okuninushi according to the Japanese mythology. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, so if you're still wondering why this place is so special, stick with me for another 15 minutes. Shimane Prefecture is actually one of the oldest and most sacred places in Japan, often referred to as the land of the gods. Izumo plays a vital role in Japan's ancient history. It is often associated with the oldest historical chronicles in Japan, which mention Izumo as a pivotal region in the formation of Japan's imperial lineage and Shinto religious practices. In the Yayoi period, Izumo was one of the most powerful regions and a center of culture and trade. And we went to Shimane for the purpose of visiting the very sacred shrine in Japan, Izumo Taisha. It is considered one of Japan's oldest and most important Shinto shrines, with records dating back to the 8th century. Its age and connection to Japan's earliest myths make it a key spiritual center and a place where ancient Japanese religious practices are preserved. You will know if you've been to Japan, but there's so many shrines all across Japan, and if you don't know what shrine is, it's basically a Christian church. And we say kami or kami-sama for God. Every Japanese person would know how significant this shrine is, as the god of every shrine in Japan gathers this Izumo Taisha once a year for the greatest god that created Japan. And I only went there in August, but every year in October, a festival known as Kami Arizuki, the month of the gods, takes place, during which it's believed that all the kami from around Japan gather at Izumo Taisha. Oh, by the way, I'm not religious at all. I'm just a very curious individual. As I mentioned earlier, this shrine is dedicated to a deity Okuninushi, who is associated with creation, the protection of people, marriage, and good fortune. Many visitors come to pray for blessings in relationships, especially marriage, given that Okuninushi is a deity to Enmusubi, the binding of relationships. This has made the shrine a popular destination for couples and individuals seeking happiness in personal relationships. My mother actually came to this Izumo Taisha when she was 27 years old and still had talisman, or what we call ofuda, from the shrine. Since it is kind of a courtesy to return to the same shrine when your wish was granted, in her case getting married obviously, she finally decided to return it on this trip after 30 years or so. I'm only a year different to when my mother came here, so it was very interesting. Also, this shrine is known for its spirituality and a place where you get a lot of energy. So it was so weird that I was attracted to this place when my mom came here a long time ago, while I had no intention of coming here until my dad suggested. We also visited Inasanohama, the legendary beach where the gods arrive in mythology. We saw the small shrine on the rock where the ocean god resides and collected the sacred sand, believed to have purifying properties. Many, including my mother, gather the sand in a Ziploc bag and take it to Motono Sumo Shrine at Izumo Taisha, where it's exchanged for shrine sand, symbolizing the transfer of divine blessings. People keep the sand for protection and blessings. I found it so interesting, especially many Japanese words here sounded very similar to Chinese, reflecting their shared history. I think it's enough history anecdotes for a while, but fun fact, when I was in primary school, my dream was to become a historian. What a nerd, right? We also tried Izumo soba, as this region is known as one of the 3 famous soba regions in Japan. We went to Arakiya, a soba restaurant that has been in business for over 240 years, dating back to the Edo era. Although we had to wait for a while, it was well worth it. Izumo soba is different from typical soba because the buckwheat used has more layers, giving it a darker appearance and a richer, earthier taste. It was served in the stacked red boxes, a representation rarely seen in Tokyo. This type of serving originated in the Edo era when tourists would buy soba from vendors and take it to Izumo Taisha as a portable lunch, similar to a bento box. Isn't that adorable? Soba actually originated in Tokyo, so it was fascinating to see how it evolved to fit the local culture here. What surprised me the most though was there were no foreign tourists around. It felt like how Tokyo used to be when I was growing up, where you'd really see international visitors, at least where I grew up. Alrighty, so funny thing, I thought the highlight of this trip would be visiting the shrine, but boy was I wrong. The real star? The accommodation. I'm not even exaggerating when I say it might be one of the best places I've ever stayed in. We're talking about a traditional Japanese style ryokan, and let me tell you, the experience was absolutely flawless. This particular ryokan is located along the Lake Shinjuku, the 7th largest lake in Japan, and it's been welcoming guests since 1888. Yep, you heard me right. Over 130 years of history. Famous Japanese poets and even prime ministers have stayed here. Plus, it boasts a stunning Japanese garden that is ranked 4th in the country. How cool is that? Now, what really blew me away was how they've preserved the traditional architecture while updating the rooms to be super clean and comfortable. We had our own private hot spring in the room which runs 24/7. The water was hot, we had to dilute it a bit, but hey, that's a luxurious problem to have, right? I could not do a quick room tour because it was really cool. And the toilet, oh my gosh, it greeted me. You know it's fancy when the toilet even says hello. After we settled in, we got treated to some delicious traditional Japanese sweets, and just as the sun started setting, we headed downstairs for dinner. Here's something special about staying at a Japanese ryokan. It typically includes both dinner and breakfast with your stay, and let me tell you, it's way more just an accommodation. You have an attendant assigned to your group who takes care of everything. Back in the day, you'd tip them in an envelope when you arrived, but the custom has faded now since it's included in the fees. The dinner was, wow. Each dish was beautifully presented using seasonal and local ingredients. Let's dive into the amazing food I had in Shimane Prefecture. Shimane is often overlooked in Japan, but it offers some seriously unique and delicious dishes. First, we tried shijimi, the freshwater clams that Lake Shinji is famous for. They are known for their detoxifying properties and are often used in soups. Funny story though, we bought some marinated shijimi for souvenirs, but they were from India. So tip, always check where your clams come from if you want the real Shimane deal. Then, there was nodoguro or black-throat sea perch, which is considered a luxury fish in Japan. It's tender, fatty, and melts in your mouth. You can find it in the high-end sushi spots, but having it fresh in Shimane was next level. We also had Shimane's local rice, nitamai. It might not be as famous as koshihikari from Niigata, but Niigata-mai is gaining popularity for its freshness and flavor. Plus, it was cooked in a traditional donabe pot, which made it even more delicious. Trust me, rice from ceramic pot is a game changer. Of course, good rice means good sake. Shimane is home to some of Japan's oldest sake breweries producing bold, rich sake thanks to the pure water and ideal climate. So yeah, Shimane's food scene was a huge highlight for me. It's a full sensory experience. Typically, you take a bath before dinner and eat it in the yukata, a casual Japanese robe they provided for you, but we didn't have time, so we opted for a bath afterwards. I decided to check out the public hot spring, even though we had a private one, so I filmed a little to show you guys the vibe. It's so rejuvenating, and after the bath, I went all in on the ryokan experience, wearing the clothing they provided and the toe socks. You can imagine my excitement. Oh, you're probably wondering why there are 2 beds for the whole family when I did a quick room tour. Well, ryokan has this cool tradition where they set up futon beds for you while you're having a bath or dinner. They're super comfy though. I ended up crashing on the bed after a long day and passed out instantly. The next morning, we got a local paper at the door, and of course, I couldn't resist another soak in the private bath before breakfast. Honestly, this accommodation really made the trip feel very special. It's amazing how much where you stay can shape your experience. I feel so connected to Japan's history and beauty even though I'm not particularly religious. But at the same time, in Japan, Shintoism isn't so much a religion per se, as it is a way of appreciating the beauty of nature. And I hope you got a glimpse of that in the video. I know not many of you will ever get the chance to visit a place like this since it's too remote, and to be honest, I don't think I would have visited if I wasn't Japanese. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and leave a comment and let me know your thoughts. Your support really helps me keep motivated through all the editing, so I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!